Are you preparing for a business analyst interview? If yes, you'll find this video useful. In this video, I'm going to list and answer 12 questions. This video is a preview of our course on business analyst interview questions and answers, which has more than 130 questions. This video, however, does not cover any icebreaker questions. I have already covered a couple of them and I provided the link in the description below. The questions which I have covered are: tell me about yourself and how is your typical day as a BA.
My name is Abhishek Srivastava. I have 28 years of IT industry experience in the roles of business analysis, project and program management. I'm an author, guest speaker and a blogger, and I'm also a CBAP certified professional.
So let's get started. The first question is, what is business analysis? As per IIBA, business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to the stakeholders. Now, this definition has three key elements. Number one, defining the needs, which is about why does a customer want a solution? What's the problem or what's the opportunity? The second element is about the solution. Which solution fits? The solution could be a software solution, it could be a non-software solution, or a combination of the both. The third element is delivering value. At the end of the day, every organization will look at the benefits. Is there any benefit in going for this solution? Because solution requires an investment. So these three elements, defining needs, recommending solutions, and delivering value, are what constitute business analysis practice. The next question is on what are the key skills of a business analyst. We have developed a framework to encapsulate 4 key skills for a business analyst. This is applicable for entry level as well as senior business analysts. We call this framework as CRAFT. The first one is about soft skills. As a business analyst, one of the important skills to have is the soft skill about communication, interaction, and behavioral. This is important because as a business analyst, you work as an intermediary between the business and the technology side. So in order to be effective in communication, which includes how to present, what to present, how to negotiate, this will help you in being effective. The second core skill is the BA skills. These are actually your day-to-day practical skills which you are using to work on a project, which includes knowing about Agile, knowing about waterfall, knowing about various business analysis techniques like use cases, process modeling, user stories, and also knowing about certain tools like Jira, MS Visio, and so forth. The third key skill is about functional knowledge. This is the domain knowledge or knowing about the business. If you're going to work on an investment banking project, it's very important that you understand the key terms and certain processes of that domain so that you'll be able to understand what the customer is looking for. The last but not the least is the functional testing. It's the ability to test a solution before it is handed over to the customer. That skill is important because at the end of the day, you have captured the requirements, so only you can validate before it is given to the customer. Moving on to the next question. What are some of the challenges a business analyst faces and what are the strategies to overcome those? Business analysts interact with stakeholders of different types. These poses challenges for the business analyst as stakeholders are human beings and every human being is different. However, as per me, the 3 most important and common challenges are: 1. Facing a difficult stakeholder. Stakeholders could be very difficult, negative, or resistant to change. To manage these stakeholders, the best way is to first find out the reason for that particular behavior and then create a stakeholder engagement and management strategy for each of these stakeholders. Because as I mentioned earlier, each of these stakeholders are different. There is no one rule for all the stakeholders, but it depends on individual stakeholders, and the best way is to create strategy for each one of them who are important for the project. Second one is not able to understand implicit requirements. There are a lot of situations where customers tend to tell you some information where they don't give you complete information. Not intentionally, but because many a times as an individual, if I'm working on something, I tend to ignore that and feel that this is so common. Why do I need to express it? These are the things which become implicit requirements. You need to find out those hidden and implicit requirements, otherwise that may result into rework. The simplest way to find it is to, on a continuous basis, analyze the requirements, that is, break down the requirements, ask follow-up questions, and brainstorm with your team so that you can listen to different views and come up with all the questions or all the missing requirements. The third one is frequently changing requirements. This is something which you cannot avoid because changes are so common in today's world. Everywhere situation is dynamic, so new requirements keep on coming. So instead of trying to bind the customer into a contract that they can't make any changes, find out ways to handle the changes elegantly. So agile methodology allows you to handle the changes in a much more efficient manner. Coming to question number 4, which are the documents prepared by a BA? Or they may ask you, which kind of documents have you prepared as a BA? A BA may prepare a number of documents. Some of commonly prepared documents are System Requirements Specification or SRS document, also known as FRS or FRD document, Use Case Specifications document, Requirements Traceability Matrix, Change Request documents, which include change request log and change request documentation, RACI matrix, gap analysis document, and stakeholder management plan. This is not a comprehensive list, but this is something which is very common. Question number 5. What are the key elements of requirement specifications document? SRS or System Requirement Specification document is basically written to capture details of the requirements. As per me, the key sections are Scope of Work section includes what is to be done in the project and what is not to be done in the project, meaning what is in the scope and what is out of the scope. In the assumptions, constraints and dependencies, we capture the project related assumptions, constraints and dependencies. These also help in identifying the risks which needs to be mitigated. So if a customer promises you that they will be able to give you all the report formats by 15th of the month, that is an assumption, because you need to now evaluate whether there will be serious impact if the customer does not provide you the report formats by 15th. If the impact is severe, then it has to be treated as a risk. Otherwise, it needs to be monitored and then taken forward. Functional and non-functional requirements capture the details of the requirements. They are segregated because they need to be attended to by different professionals. Because, for example, if it is about availability and load balancing, it has to be handled by a server specialist team. But if it is about functional requirement, for example, registration of users, it then can be handled by the developers and the technology team. So they are segregated in different sections. Finally, we have acceptance criteria, which is yet another important section of an SRS, because this allows objective criteria to be defined, which then can be used to mark the end of the UAT phase or mark the start of the go live phase. If you have defined it correctly, then we can easily say that now the UAT is over and we can take the system live. Typically, these are the sections which I have found in the SRS document, but from an organization to another organization, the formats may vary. Question number 6. What are functional requirements? Functional requirements represent what does the system do. It represents the functionality of a system. For example, registering to become a member of a website is an example of functional requirement. Placing an order for food items on a mobile food app is also an example of functional requirement. Question number 7. What are non-functional requirements? Non-functional requirements or quality of service requirements do not relate directly to the behavior or the functionality of a software, but rather describe the conditions under which a solution must remain effective, or it describes the quality that a solution must have. Typically, non-functional requirements relate to security, availability, performance, and reliability. For example, if a system is expected to be available 24/7, this is an example of non-functional requirement. Also, if the requirement is that any page on the website should be loaded within 1 second or 1.5 seconds, that also represents a non-functional requirement. Question number 8. What are the different techniques to capture requirements early on in the project? So there are two techniques which are used. There could be more, but these are two of the most important and popular techniques. That is use cases and user stories. Use case is a type of UML diagram and it's a visual way of capturing requirements. Use cases comprises of actor and a use case. Actor is an external entity who can be a user, a software system, or even an organization, but it must be external to the system. The use cases for a system are put together in a use case model. There could be multiple actors, there could be multiple use cases. For example, a user can search and compare products, place an order, and even view the order history. You can see the diagram on the screen. User stories are a format or a structure to represent a feature of a software system from the end user perspective. It's not a visual format, rather it's a textual format. There's no standard format for user stories, but the format shown on the screen is the most widely used format for user stories. Question number 9. What are the differences between use cases and user stories? Both of these techniques are used to capture requirements at a high level and early on in the project. Both of these capture the system requirements from user perspectives. But there are some differences. To start with, use cases are visual diagrams, whereas user stories are textual format. But there is one important difference. User stories capture the purpose of doing a task in a project or in a software. It allows us to understand the actual reason why a user is doing something in the software. You can see the format, both the formats on the screen. In the example which is shown on the screen, you can see the section starting with so that. That is what describes why a user does something. Let's take an example to understand the difference. The user story for a user searching for a flight is displayed on your screen. You can see the same as a use case, and now you can notice the difference. As per me, the user story brings in the real value for a user as to why they are doing certain actions. There is an underlined section which states the purpose of searching for flights. Why is it useful and how it is useful? As an organization, this information can be used to increase the sales. The portal can offer a frequent flyer program to the business traveler, whereas a tour package, which comprises of tickets and the hotel booking, to the family or the vacation traveler. This can be done by just putting in additional effort. That's the real difference between use cases and user story formats. Having said that, it is possible to aid the use cases by writing textual specifications to have the same information captured. Question number 10. What is acceptance criteria? Acceptance criteria are the set of conditions or requirements that must be met for a solution to be accepted by the stakeholders. The acceptance criteria are defined during the requirements gathering phase and should be agreed upon by the stakeholders. The acceptance criteria can be written for the entire system or for one requirement as well. Example of an acceptance criteria for the entire system could be all the unit test cases should be run successfully by the development team. This can be easily checked and approved. Question number 11. Are you aware of Agile? What are the key aspects of Agile approach? Yes, I'm aware of Agile, and as per Agile Manifesto, there are 4 key aspects of Agile. Number 1. Individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Here the focus is on the team and team dynamics. It makes the team more important than just the processes and tools. Second one is working software over comprehensive documentation. Here the focus is on delivering a software which is useful for the customer. It could be one module or one feature or the entire software. Third one is about customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Here the focus is on frequent collaboration with the stakeholders to minimize errors and to also capture changing and evolving requirements. Last one is responding to change over following a plan. That is, responding to change in an efficient manner or effective manner. The frequent and the rapid delivery cycles and collaboration with the customer helps in responding to change effectively. So these are the 4 key aspects of Agile approach, and I believe that in the changing environment of today's world, a lot of projects can be executed better by using Agile approach. However, it is not something which can be used in 100% of the cases. Some of the projects can still use hybrid or to an extent waterfall approach. Question number 12. Do you think Agile is the best approach to execute software projects? As I mentioned in the previous question, not in absolute terms or not in 100% of the cases. Agile methodologies are more suited for modern day projects as it allows you to cater to changing requirements and changing dynamics of the business. It has been designed with the ability to handle such frequent changes. However, it is not something which is easy to come by. It's not an easy approach to implement. There are certain cases where a hybrid approach suits much better for a project, which is a combination of waterfall and Agile. It is suitable for projects where requirements are pretty much standard. For example, financial accounting software, where a lot of outputs are statutory requirements, so they are fixed. For example, profit and loss statement, balance sheet, etc. So these were the 12 questions which are covered in this video. You can look at our business analyst interview question and answers module and the course to get access to more than 130 questions. Thanks for watching this video.